Welcome to the Papyrus TV, and my name is Doofan Abu-Amali as always. I am in Benue State, and it's not a good situation. As you have known, it's no more news. Benue State, almost half of the state has been displaced by the Fulani Herdsmen attack. We were at the IDPs yesterday, and it's a pathetic situation. People that hitherto have their houses, they can provide for themselves and children, have had to stay in a place where they now beg for alms because the government has to provide what time they eat and what time they don't have to eat. You pray not to be in that situation. Now, we are here with the Executive Secretary of SEMA that is saddled with the responsibility to oversee the welfare of these people. We saw some things yesterday in the camps, and we are here to get clarification. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Doofan. Papyrus, television, and publisher.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. You have already called my name, but let me say it from my mouth. I'm EMMANUEL, SHIOR, the Executive Secretary, Benue State Emergency Management Agency, Makodi. Thank you very much. For Velimine, it is a splendid opportunity to talk about the huge humanitarian situation in Benue State. As you have observed, it is not news that since January, many communities in Benue State have been under siege, have come under vicious attack by Fulani herdsmen. A lot of communities are involved in Guma local government, Logo, part of Makodi, Agatu, Gwe West, Gwe East, Opoku, and more community in Kwande local government. It is a huge challenge in the sense that since January, the state government, Benue State government, under the leadership of Dr. Samuel Tom, through my agency, has been solely responsible for catering for IDPs. This is aside thousands of Cameroonian refugees in Kwande local government that have been there since November last year. So it's a big problem. But the state government, this regime under Dr. Samuel Tom is responsive, is responsible. He has the passion for the well-being of his people, and that is inclusive of the displaced people in Benue. Government has done so much since then in terms of providing food and non-food items. Government has provided water in a total of 8 camps officially established in 3 of these local governments I've mentioned. Part of Makodi, which is known as Abagana, IDPs camp, Daudu 1 and 2 IDPs camp, Bajimba IDPs camp, Seginde IDPs camp, Anyin in Logo local government, Abeda also in Logo, and Uba also in Logo. But let me inform you that on account of insecurity, because it got to a point that these attackers were targeting some of these camps. In fact, they actually attacked taking the camp.
Wow.
And so on account of that, the governor directed me to suspend activities in 2 of these camps, Seginde and Abeda, leaving us with 6 official camps. But let me also inform you that there are numerous other camps that are out there. IDPs are all over Benue State. Remember, I've mentioned so many communities. All right, and so we are doing a current update of IDPs in Benue State. The current update we have done is to focus on not only on IDPs in the camp, but also to have a picture of the total population of IDPs in Benue State. And so what we are doing at this point is more elaborate, it is more valid. And so we have covered Makodi, we have covered Guma, we have covered Logo. We are yet to cover Gwe West, Gwe East, Agatu, Opoku, and more community in Kwandi. But what we have captured already is over 300,000. God willing, the governor has also mobilized my agency to go ahead and cover the remaining communities. And by next week, we hope to start capturing the remaining communities of Gwe West, Gwe East, Agatu, Opoku, and more community in Kwale local government.
That's wonderful. So you talked about suspending some camps. The camps you suspended, the IDPs there, were they relocated to other camps?
Exactly. That was what we did.
Okay.
Our culture as Tiv people, our culture as Benue people, our culture as black people allows us to live, to be accommodated by our relations, by our friends. And so when this happened, we encouraged the IDPs to leave the camps and stay with their relations, with their friends within the two host communities that I mentioned.
Okay, so they are staying with their community, but is the government still giving them the arms they are giving to the IDPs, the ones in the camp? Because yesterday we have a situation of few women complaining that they don't have a pass, that there's a pass you give people to identify them as IDPs. And anytime they come, they are refused food items because they are not in the camp.
I want to respond by clarifying a few things. You use the term arms, I don't understand, and I want to disagree.
Okay.
We don't give arms to IDPs. We actually give relief.
Okay, relief.
It is the responsibility of government to look after its citizens, whether they are in normal conditions or situations, that are not normal. All right? So Benue State government, through my agency, has been providing relief in terms of food and non-food items and not arms, because these people don't have to come and beg. Do you understand? They don't beg government to provide these things. And then you talk about
those that are not in the camps.
Yes, we extend help to them, and when partners, both domestic and international, people who come here to provide intervention or relief, when they contact us, we'll tell them to extend their intervention beyond the official camps. So that is what we have been doing. And so if those women complained, I don't know where, because you have not mentioned which camp you met them and they complained about. Which
down
camp?
to 1 and 2. They both complained.
So people keep on coming. Remember, let me tell you that the attacks are still there, the attacks are still on. Because Fulani herdsmen are here with us, they have not left our place. They are still occupying the hinterlands. They are still occupying the rural areas. They are there and they have continued to attack our people. They are there with their cattle and they are grazing freely. Some of the IDPs who from time to time go back to check whether it is safe for them to return. Some of them, yes, get killed. So the fears are still there in our people. And because people keep on coming in and going out, there may be cases of people complaining that I don't have cars or even misplacing their cars. That does not mean that the government is not responding or attending to them.
Nothing can stop you except you. If you embrace the negative things, the fears, then you're dead. Dead career-wise, physically, and otherwise. As a man thinketh, so he is. You may even feel as if you are dying and you are seeing physically. As long as you don't give up, you will live.
They advocating for the scrapping of federal character that is rather dividing us. What do you have to say about it?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of federal character and I'm not a fan of zoning.
Okay.
I'm a fan of meritocracy. And I want 2019 to be zoned to merit rather than geographical zoning.
Okay.
You know, because truthfully, that's one of our problems in this country.
While I was at NAFDAC, I knew that Nigeria, the statistics we had was not, Nigeria was importing rice worth more than 500 billion naira every year. Benue alone can produce that much rice if you focus on rice production. So it means that there's 500 billion naira out there to be captured by Benue State every year.
Someone that a child, 2 children that they were missing, and up to now they have not been gotten. What preventive steps have you taken to make sure that such situations do not occur in the future? And what has the government done in trying to even see if they can recover those children?
You see, human beings have different kinds of attitudes and different practices. All right. Otherwise, there is security in the camps. Government has provided security. SEMA does not work alone. SEMA work with security people. SEMA works with the police. Work with vigilante. There's a local security outfit. SEMA works with other security agencies. Nigerian security and civil defense, they are all there in the camps, in their numbers, helping to provide security to these people. But most times you see that IDPs leave these camps without informing us. Do you understand? Sometimes they live with their relations, they live with their children. All right? And so when something happens to them, even outside the camps, they give the impression that it is within the camp that has happened to them. But with respect to this case you have complained about, it was reported to my team in the camp. We have reported to security agencies. We have gotten the family of these children involved in helping us to find out what happened and where these children have been taken to. The security agencies are still investigating.
Okay, but there's this particular, you talked about going out of the camp, but this particular child was confirmed to be within the premise around 7. And when I did a little investigation, they actually saw a particular woman taking two children out of the camp, and one, the mother retrieved her back. So what have you followed up with the security men to know what they have done? Maybe they followed the trail at that time to be able to identify this woman because she was seen.
That is what I'm saying, that security agencies, the police, especially in the camp, are still investigating.
Yes,
but I talked earlier about funny attitudes of our people. There are also cases of IDPs intentionally giving their children out to people. Do you understand?
Why would they do
that? For what reason, we don't know actually. But the security people are helping us to check those kind of practices so as to safeguard the lives of IDPs, particularly who are in the camps.
Okay, Daudu 2, to be specific, had some window, one of the blocks there does not have windows or doors. What is the state government doing to make sure that these people sleep better this rainy season? Because I understand that most of them stay awake all through the night if there's going to be rain.
Yeah, that is very true. It is not the intention of government or this IDPs to remain in the camps forever. I talked about our culture before. We are not a people who are used to this life of being confined in one place. These people want to return back to their productive lives. When we visit, when the governor visits, from time to time when I enter, I visit the camps to look at them, to look after them. They complain to me, yes, may you tell the governor that we want to leave this place, we want to go back to our homes. But you know that the governor alone is not in a position to control or put the security to effectively address the security challenge in the state, given that he does not own or he does not have control of the security. Yes, he's not in charge of the military. He's not in charge of the police. You know, so it takes the involvement of the federal government. And I want to say at this point that we have not seen the kind of attention that this kind of a huge problem deserves from the federal government. Otherwise, the humanitarian situation here is similar to what is happening in the Northeast. Why is it that federal government is not giving attention to the problem in Benue State? You see that the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Buhari, is a sectioner, is he tribalistic? Why is it that he's not paying attention to the Benue State problem? What have we done? And so we will continue to cry. The governor himself has continued to cry. And as the head of this agency, Benue's State Emergency Management Agency, I will also continue to cry. I am not crying because I want to insult the president. I am crying because we know that the president is the father. And so as a child, if you have a problem, if you have a pain, you have to cry and call on your father to come to your help. And we are hoping. Federal government has put in place some measures, but they are not enough. The other one was exercise. It didn't really work here. The present one is what is called Operation Wise Truck. It is more effective, but it has not really addressed the security challenge in the state as it should, because the Fulani herdsmen have occupied our places that are still there. They have not been driven away. And so our people cannot go back to their places to continue with their productive lives.
If you were
But
Mr. President,
with respect to the issue of windows
and doors.
classrooms, and that facility is a government facility. The government has a plan in place to repair that facility.
But there's an emergency now.
Wait a minute, through the Ministry of Education. SEMA has also provided enough mosquito nets. Even as we speak, I still have some of them in the store. We have continued to supply mosquito nets to IDPs in the camps. So we hope that even as some of the windows, not so many of them, and a few of them don't have open. But
2 blocks to be precise.
Yes, 2 blocks, but not all the windows anyway. I'm not, this is not a matter of argument. I am agreeing with you in a way. But with the help of mosquito nets, we hope that these people will be able to sleep, and the government, through Ministry of Education, is also coming to address that problem.
Okay, that's fine. There was a situation of a guy that his son got burned, a man that his son got burned in the house. Are you aware of that situation?
Yeah, that situation was reported to me, and I will consult with the family. The guy is still there, incidentally. That guy you have talked about is from the same place with me. Let me tell you that I'm also displaced. My community, which is Uchondu the Guma local government is totally sacked. No person is there. If you go to my place, my village, no single house is standing. All right. So we sympathize with that family, and he stayed there in the camp. The governor, through my agency, has put in place some measures to provide pushing effect to him on that situation that happened to him. And also, you know that wherever there is a human life, or there is a living life, or wherever there is life, there is bound also to be death.
Yeah.
Right. So occasionally, even outside the camps, human beings die. All right, and human beings also fall sick. So occasionally we have these cases, but government is trying its best to address this problem. It is quite unfortunate that state government alone shouldn't be left to handle this problem, and that is why I earlier complained about the lack of attention from our federal government. NEMA should have been seriously involved in helping the state government in looking after IDPs.
Has NEMA done nothing at all?
NEMA came here just about 2 times. When the vice president came, he came with the DG of NEMA, who promised that he was going to return, or the vice president directed him to return back quickly to Benue State to provide shelter kits and other relief materials. The man returned after 2 weeks. He spoke with me and promised that he was going to return back quickly with some relief materials. Up till now, we have not seen anything from them. And so you can see that it's a huge challenge. And so I want to use this opportunity, and that is why I commend your efforts, because what you are doing here is to help draw the attention of the federal government, other governments, other friends of the governor, other spirited individuals, international partners, NGOs, who have concern on human existence, to know that there is a big humanitarian problem in Benue State, and also to try and come to the relief, to the succor of IDPs in Benue, because as it is, we don't know when the relief comes. I have told you before that the Fulani herdsmen are still there. They are occupying our villages. Federal government, it's only federal government, it's only Buhari that has the power, that has the capacity of asking them, to leave before they will leave. So they are there. We don't know when the IDPs will leave the camps. And so we need help. We need help. We need help. Our major challenge is food. Food. And so if you ask me what to bring for IDPs, 10 times I will tell you food. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So all you look for from people that want to assist is food. Food more than any other thing. Man must work. You have to eat before you be alive and be able to enjoy other things of life. Okay.
You understand? So food is key. Food is central. Food is major.
Assessing the situation from where you're standing, what would you have done to make sure that these people go back? Because the time like the flooding issue, we know that after the rainy season they are going to go, right? But this one we don't know. What do you think Mr. President should have done or should do now to ensure that these people go back?
The IDPs have fled their places to the camps on account of insecurity, on account of massive killings. Permit me to use the word genocide that is happening in Benue State. We call it genocide because if it is not genocide, then why is it that federal government, why is it that the president is not saying anything about this? When he visited, let me tell you one shocking thing that the president did. When he visited Benue Makodi here, all of us expected that he would utter consoling words to Benue people, to families that lost their loved ones. The president came here, unfortunately, he didn't consider it necessary to visit a single camp. He spent less than 1 hour in Makodi. And in the banquet hall, when we met with him, what he told the governor was that the governor should tell Benue people, should tell traditional rulers to learn to live peacefully with their neighbors. So he said that our killers are our neighbors. He said that the Fulani herdsmen are our neighbors who can live and turn their backs on people that are killing them. And that is why I feel that it's a genocide. So if I were the president, if I were Buhari, I would address this problem proactively. Do you understand? Otherwise, all of us in Benue, but in 2015, Benue state indigenous voted for Buhari massively. We thought that he was an honest person. We thought that he was a man who has a passion for the well-being of the citizens of Nigeria. And that is why we clamored, that is why we supported him massively. But what we see of him now is different. Do you understand? Otherwise, we expect that he should have addressed this problem in Benue, the huge humanitarian crisis in Benue, proactively. Do you understand? It's a security challenge. So he is the only person to address the problem once and for all. Otherwise, our governor, as much as he is sensitive, as much as he is proactive, as much as he is responsible, who cares about the well-being of his people, it is not within his capacity to address such a big security humanitarian challenge. And that is why he can only cry to the president, he can only cry to the world for help.
Thank you so much. So what word of encouragement will you give to any IDP or somebody that has been displaced right now? What word of encouragement will you give?
IDPs in Benue State should keep faith with our governor. And I will tell you, in the recent times, this is the one politician that has demonstrated a character that is quite strange for some of us. Strange in the sense that other politicians, what we see them do is to put their interests first. Do you understand? But this is a man who has put God first. And then next to that is his people. All right? And next to his people, he has taken his life. Do you understand? And one of the things that a leader should do in ensuring that he puts in place good governance is his policies, his programs, and the type of laws he puts in place. All right? And one of such important laws that he has put in place in Benue that has also caused him problem, and Benue people is open grazing prohibition and ranches establishment law. For him, that law is a solution to the perennial herdsmen attacks on the innocent farmers in Benue. For him, that law is an economic solution as well as a political solution. But it is unfortunate. It is unfortunate that the president and perhaps Mietiala, Fulani Association, leading association and other associations, Fulani associations, have not seen that in that light. Perhaps they have seen that law as what is going to prevent them from taking over Benue. It is quite unfortunate that the president has allowed this kind of thing to happen in Benue when Benue people massively voted for him in 2015.
Thank you so much. I must commend you. The last time I was in IDP, I wept, I cried, but yesterday everywhere was okay, aside from the few things I talked about. So I recommend you for that.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
I didn't cry yesterday.